I'm starting it now. All right,
Okay.
guys, I'll be in the background. You won't be able to hear me. And you can end it whenever you're finished.
Okay, perfect. Well, I'll start sharing my screen then. Oops, let's see. Perfect. Okay, well, I guess for the purposes of this recording, I'll introduce myself again. So I'm Ivy Donaldson, and I'm one of the admissions counselors for Washington State University. So I specifically serve Orange County and San Diego County and Riverside County, and I'm based in San Diego, but I'm originally from Washington. I've lived all over the state, grew up in the Seattle area. So as you can see from this photo, very rural area, but big school. We're part of the Pac-12. We're a D1 university, about 21,000 students. And we're way over in Eastern Washington. So from this map, you can see all of our other campus locations. For the most part, students study at the Pullman campus. That's where all the student life is, athletics, most of our 200 majors. But some cool programs that we have a medical school and a veterinary school up in Spokane, which is about 90 minutes away from our campus. Spokane is like probably the biggest city near Pullman. It's the second largest city in the state of Washington. And then if you were to drive about 5 hours west, you would hit Seattle. And then we're eight miles away from Idaho. So we're really close to the University of Idaho. They'll probably come visit your campus at some point. But University of Idaho, we have some cool partnerships with them. We share some ROTC programs. So if you ever wanted to take a class, you could do that at U of I. There's a little bike trail that connects our campuses together. So they're, our campus, like our college towns, are right next to each other, which is pretty cool. We also share an airport. We have an airport in Pullman, but it's shared with Pullman and Moscow, Idaho. So that's the easiest way to get to WSU. If you were flying from San Diego area, you would fly into SeaTac and then fly from Seattle over to Pullman. You can also fly directly into Spokane as well, and there's like a charter bus that would take you down into campus. So that's kind of where we're located. And as I was sharing with y'all before, definitely all 4 seasons of weather over in the Eastern Washington side of the state. A lot of snow in the winter. You'll see a photo of our snowy campus at some point here. About 2/3 of the town of Pullman are the students, so kind of your quintessential college town. If you're looking for like a big city vibe, this is not the school for you. But if you're looking for a college town environment with most undergraduate students, about like, I think the average age of somebody in Pullman is 22 years old. So you're gonna be in good company. And this is not a commuter school. So I think that makes our campus environment pretty special because our students live, work, play, study in Pullman. People aren't like commuting home every weekend or, you know, after school ends. So that's kind of nice, especially as an out-of-state student. I think sometimes the worry is that, you know, all of your friends are going to be going home to visit their families on the weekend. But because we're kind of far away from bigger cities, a lot of students stay in town. They go off on outdoor adventures. They're studying in their dorms, walking into the downtown area. So it makes for a really fun community type of environment. You'll definitely see, kind of sense the school spirit when you come to campus, just because you'll see like the Cougar logo painted on the streets in downtown Pullman. You'll see flags everywhere. Everybody's yelling, "Go Cougs." So it's a very spirited campus environment, really fun environment for students. This is a kind of just a snapshot of our incoming class from last year. So majority of our students were coming in as freshmen, about 4,000 incoming freshmen last year. We do have a big transfer population as well. So transferring to WSU is pretty simple. And especially with COVID kind of ongoing, I think a lot of students this last year chose to stick around home, maybe attend a community college just because everything was virtual. So do know that transferring is a great option as well. I know in California, typically you are required to get your transfer degree before you transfer to a California school. That's not really the case with out-of-state schools. So you can typically transfer, you know, if you even just take 1 semester of college credits at a community college, you could transfer to a school in Washington, and probably most out-of-state schools. So you probably hear a lot of, or at least you'll hear a lot about Impaction in terms of California universities, the UC system, CSU system. Most out-of-state schools aren't really facing that same impaction with classes. So you'll see that there's often a lot more flexibility to come in undecided, kind of explore for your first and second year. And it's not quite as intense, all those direct entry majors. So if you are kind of still deciding, that can be kind of a nice feature of attending school out of state. About 15% of our students are out of state. We have about 7% on a typical year that are international students. We actually have an international student dorm you can opt to live in, and you get paired with a student from another country. So that can be kind of a cool exchange opportunity. And then we'll also get into kind of some study abroad opportunities as well. If you want to be a student studying at another university. Again, student life, kind of the hallmark of WSU, again, because of that community type of environment, because of where we're located. A lot of alumni come kind of pouring back into town on game days. So that's really fun if you're wanting to tailgate. But a lot of school spirit around sports at WSU. If you're interested in sports, we have club sports as well. We have huge intramural groups on campus as well. So you can do 2 different intramural sports a semester. So lots of options there. If you wanted to do something just for fun, you could do like a dodgeball team. That's what I did my freshman year of college. So it's definitely some fun opportunities there. We have a huge range of clubs. I always recommend joining a club related to your major. For example, there are, if you're interested in veterinary sciences, there's a raptor club where you work with endangered birds. We have a bear center on our campus. So we actually have students from a variety of different disciplines working with the bears on campus, but we have 7 grizzly bears right now. And we're adding polar bears, I think, over the next couple years as well. So some cool research going on with bears at WSU, I think one of our more unique programs. We have about 15 clubs just in the engineering department alone. There are definitely a lot of different, for students interested in business, we have entrepreneurship certifications you can do. There's just so many different opportunities to get involved on campus. And we're a tier 1 for research. So we're one of the 2 tier 1 research universities in Washington. Most schools are doing some forms of research, of course, but because we're a tier 1 status, we get a lot of research funding, and all of our professors, when they're not teaching, have different projects they're working on. So again, because we're very undergrad focused, those opportunities get to go to you as first, second, third year students, instead of going to that huge graduate population that some schools have. I did mention outdoor sports a little bit, but just because we are located in an area with all 4 seasons, there's a lot of opportunities to get outside. Our outdoor center is just a center on campus where you can rent gear. You can sign up to go on trips. If you want to go rafting over a weekend or during a spring break, there's always opportunities there. Folks carpooling out to the slopes on the weekends. So some cool opportunities there. And then there are clubs related to different parts of students' identities, backgrounds, religions, cultures, etc. So we do require, on a typical non-COVID year, we do require students to live on campus at least for their first year. I anticipate once we get back into having classes in person instead of virtual, like most of our classes are this year, we will require the students to live on campus again for their first year. That just really helps you build community. That's the best way to make friends and get involved on campus, is having that encouragement, having that community on campus. But another thing to kind of think about as you're weighing out like costs of out-of-state colleges and just kind of the cost of college in general, living on campus tends to be pretty expensive, one of the bigger costs other than tuition when you're looking at schools. However, off-campus housing, if you're looking to rent a house in the area, it's very, very affordable. So that can really decrease the cost of attendance, versus if you're looking at a school in San Francisco, for example, the cost of living off campus in San Francisco would probably be like 3 or 4 times the cost of living in an apartment in Pullman. So just some things to think about as you're considering. About 200 majors at WSU, and I did kind of mention that coming in as an undecided student is totally an option. But some of our more popular programs are veterinary sciences. We have a veterinary school at WSU, and I'll talk about the Honors College in a bit here, but the Honors College gives you an option to finish your undergrad in veterinary, pre-vet and undergraduate degree. So you could do a major in animal sciences, zoology, wildlife and ecology. There's a lot of different options for the pre-vet portion. And then go on to finish up your your doctorate of vet medicine in 7 years instead of that traditional 8 years. So that's a cool option. We also have a huge agriculture program at WSU. We have amazing research in agricultural sciences at WSU because we're a land grant university. So you'll have a lot of hands-on opportunities to work with animals, livestock, and also bears potentially. So you could draw blood on a bear before you draw blood on like a cat or a dog, which is pretty wild in my opinion. Nursing is also a huge program at WSU. We graduate, I think, like 40% of the state's nurses. So we have a huge nursing program. And then I kind of mentioned that land grant university. And land grant just means that we have a responsibility to the state of Washington to provide like engineering, health and medical sciences, agriculture, and education. So you'll often find at land grant universities those types of programming if you're looking at land grant schools across the country. Business is also a huge program for us. We have our Carson College of Business. One of my favorite parts of the Carson College is that every student in a business major at WSU is required to complete an international experiences requirement. Just because we think that that's really valuable along with a business degree, having some international, experience, having some cultural fluency. So you will either be required to minor in a language or to complete a study abroad through the Carson College of Business. So definitely some cool opportunities there throughout the world if you're looking for a program. And study abroad in general is just something I'm really passionate about because I love traveling, but when I was in college, I thought study abroad would just be too expensive. And so I just didn't really think about it until my senior year of college. And at that point, it was too late. I just needed to stay on campus and finish up my program. So really recommend visiting a study abroad office your freshman year of college and just sitting in on a presentation, maybe setting up a one-on-one appointment with one of the advisors and just kind of seeing if, based on your interests, based on your budget, if a study abroad opportunity could get, fit into your college experience. So you could do an exchange program where, you're living at a university in Ireland, living in the dorms, you're on the rugby team for a semester. You could do an opportunity where you travel with just WSU students and you're with a WSU faculty member, in Costa Rica studying Spanish. Or the third option is you kind of living with a host family and immersing yourself in a culture, learning the language, taking classes with students from all over the world. So really based on your fluency in a language, if you want your classes taught in English or another language, truly a lot of different options there. One of my favorite programs for study abroad is it's actually through our College of Communications, but it's called Backpack Journalism, and you'll get paired up with another student, and basically you're just an international correspondent. You could be like in the Galapagos Islands or in Asia, and just basically reporting back on different stories as you travel. So there's truly like a wide range of options. Anyways, before I keep talking on and on about study abroad, a lot of different programs, and definitely we could take questions at that end if y'all want further information. But all of our departments on campus are pretty friendly, and so I would say if you have questions about specific programs or want to get more information, you can always reach out to me first, and I can get you connected with one of the advisors in the department. They could set up a virtual chat or just chat with you back and forth over email. If you want to hear more about like what students are doing, the types of internships they do, types of jobs they get after they graduate, stuff like that. Okay, cool. I talked about the Honors College just briefly in regards to veterinary sciences, but the Honors College works with all majors. And I, again, like study abroad, the Honors College was something I just threw out. I was like, I already worked hard enough in high school. I don't want to do extra work in college, but I do kind of wish I'd considered the honors program because honors colleges are offered at a lot of bigger universities like WSU, and it's a really great way to kind of get almost like a private school experience, but still get to be part of, a big public research university with a lot of opportunities, a lot of resources, a lot of school spirit. So you kind of get the best of both worlds. It would take up perhaps about a fourth of your total coursework over the course of your time at WSU. So you would still have classes with the rest of the university, but you'd get access to these classes that are capped at 25 students, and basically just kind of gives you more discussion-based courses. Your professors will get to know your name. So I think it's a really cool opportunity. At the end of your 4 years, you would also complete a research project or some sort of thesis, working alongside a faculty member. But one of their courses I just heard about recently is that the Honors College, different faculty member get to teach those courses. But one course they offered, I think last year, was it was a chemistry course, but it was taught with like the perspective of studying like zombie movies. So they studied like zombie science, and kind of use that to illustrate like actual chemistry concepts. So there's just some really creative course offerings in the Honors College, definitely worth checking out. And some honors colleges at different universities, there is an additional cost to be a part of it, but again, for WSU, there's no additional cost. You do have to submit a separate application, but other than that, again, there's no additional cost. So you both are juniors, but if there's any seniors kind of watching this presentation, our application is open now, and our application priority deadline is January 31st, and that is pretty standard with us. That is also the priority deadline to apply for scholarships. And the Honors College, their application is more open-ended, so they typically stay open until they get full. So I believe their application opens up in October each year, and often kind of stays open into the spring a little bit more. So our application, there's no essay to apply. It's really simple. For this fall 2021, we're not requiring SAT or ACT scores. Even if you submitted them, we wouldn't even look at them. But for juniors, we still haven't determined if we're going to be test optional for fall 2022. So stay tuned for that one. But mainly we're looking at your grade trends, the types of classes you're taking. Are you challenging yourself with any AP, honors, IB courses, college and the high school? And are your grades going up or down? Obviously, we're going to look at this past spring, and we're going to realize that it's been a really challenging year for everyone. And so we won't be penalizing students for having a rough spring for 2020. So don't worry about that if you had pass or fail grades or anything like that, but keep that in mind. That's what we're going to be looking at. Our average GPA last year was about a 3.4. And then for, I'll come back to that, but for out-of-state scholarships, we offer the Cougar Award and we offer the Distinguished Cougar Award. And so these you would be automatically reviewed for when you applied for the university. We would just look at your transcript. So if you have a 3.2 to a 3.59, you'll get $7,000 per year for 4 years. And then if you have a 3.6 or higher, you'll qualify for the Western Undergraduate Exchange, the WUI. We call it the Distinguished Cougar Award. So that is $11,000 per year for 4 years. And as you can see here, that would significantly lower the cost of tuition. It wouldn't be quite the same as a resident tuition, but makes it almost pretty equivalent to staying in state and going to like a UC. So obviously Washington resident tuition and non-Washington resident tuition, it's a big difference because you in California are not paying you're not paying taxes towards education in this state. So that's why there's often a big difference in state and out of state tuition. And that's why private school tuition is just standard because they're not getting state funding. Let's see. So I guess for you juniors, definitely important to realize that we do offer those kind of 2 big 4-year scholarships. But if you're applying as a senior, you should also fill out our general scholarship application. Especially in the College of Business, there are so many scholarships available just through that department. And so it's definitely worthwhile to fill out the general scholarship application. There's, I think, 5 little short essay questions in that scholarship application, but that's where you can kind of share your involvements, you know, whether that's volunteering, that's sports, in your community. That's where you can fill out more information about what you've been up to in high school. And you'll be reviewed for departmental scholarships, just any other scholarship offered through the university. Definitely recommend every student filling out the FAFSA. As this last year has taught us, it's, you know, things can be really unpredictable with jobs. And so I always say, like, have your family file a FAFSA, just have it on file. And if you end up needing financial aid, that's great. It's already been set up for you. But filling out the FAFSA just gives you eligibility to be reviewed for grants. And grants are free, so you don't have to pay those back after you graduate, and loans, which you do have to pay back once you graduate. So that's just reviewing you for those types of things. Work study is a type of financial aid, but if you were awarded work study, that would just give you eligibility to apply for specific work study positions on campus. You would still get a paycheck as normal with any job, but that's just giving you eligibility for an additional set of jobs on campus. But there's so many jobs on campus, so don't worry about that if you want to have a job. My favorite job is working in the admissions office. You could be a tour guide, one of our Cougar Connectors. We have a lot of Cougar Connectors working, answering phone calls, helping us with events, leading tours. So that's a really fun job. But bigger employers are the rec centers. We have 2 rec centers on campus. You could work for the outdoor center, leading trips. You could work for the dining hall, you know, work in one of our Starbucks on campus. So really a wide range of student jobs. You can also work for a department and get more kind of specific to your interests or your career interests experience. I already kind of mentioned our deadlines, but just so you're aware, you have until May 1st. That's a national college decision deadline. So that's during your senior year. You will have to make your college decision, make your enrollment deposit. Typically in the spring, that's when a lot of campuses, including WSU, we have our big like admitted student event days. So that's when, if you're still deciding, you can come visit our campus, do one more tour, attend some different interest sessions, and really decide if that's the school that's going to be for you. On a typical year, I always recommend visiting a campus. We all kind of look the same. When you look on our websites, you're going to see smiling students and people involved. But when you come and visit the town of Pullman, I think it's like over 80% of students who visit end up confirming they fall in love with the campus, that community type of environment. And I can say from experience living in California and living in Washington, whenever I go back to campus and help out with events on campus, I just like breathe a kind of a sigh of relief. I love California, obviously, I live here, love the sun, but the pace of life in Pullman is really relaxed, so friendly. So it's a really great environment to spend 4 years of your undergrad career. So yeah, definitely recommend visiting. Hopefully we'll be able to have students come back up to campus in the spring to visit, but at least I'm hoping next fall we'll be able to start having visit programs again. So anyways, that's just a bit about WSU. Again, I'm the admissions counselor for this specific region of California. So if you have any questions, you can go to our admissions page. You can always click on visit. You'll find my information on our website as well when you search your school. But ivy.donaldson at wsu.edu. So. This is, you would still pay for housing for your first year, and housing typically is about $7,000 for, I think it would be about $14,000 for the whole year. I think this is just for one semester. The tuition is for the whole year, but I think this housing is for is just for one semester. So housing is definitely the biggest cost other than tuition. And that's, yeah, sorry. It is including the housing and dining. So about $11,000 for housing and a meal plan. And then after that, you can certainly live on campus again. There's also campus apartments, which are a little bit more independent and they are they don't cost as much. Or the third option would just be to rent a house off campus with your friends. We have a big Greek system at WSU as well. About a fourth of our students are part of the Greek system. So it's big. So that's, a lot of students end up moving into a fraternity or a sorority during their sophomore year. But it's reasonable to expect to pay maybe like $500 or $600 a month to rent something in Pullman, versus here where an apartment's like $1,600 a month. So very, very different cost of living in Pullman.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
Tanja, if you have anything, you can go and I'll ask something after.
Oh, yeah, I was wondering, you mentioned sports. Do you guys have an archery team, a competitive archery team?
I don't think we do, but let me check. Yeah, I can get back to you on that one.
Okay.
I don't think we do. We might have a club team, but yeah.
Okay.
No.
I think that kind of answered all I had.
Okay, cool. Well, let me drop, I will stop sharing here. And drop it in the chat. Well, I'll just drop our admissions site in the chat here. There's tons more information if you want to start exploring it all. But other than that, yeah, you're welcome to reach out to me this year, next year, if you ever have any other additional questions about Wazoo. But, oh, hi, Coach Jamal.
You guys all done?
Yep, we're all set.
All right, that's perfect because I just got finished. If you need anything from me, just let me know. And if you guys need, she probably already gave you her information, email or whatever. But if you need that, I always have it as well.
Perfect. And then I'll also drop in the chat if you all want to request info from WSU. You can fill out that form there. Just know that you'll start getting emails from us about programs. You'll probably get emails from me as well. So anyways, you're welcome to fill that out. But y'all are internet savvy, so if you need to find information, I know you can find it. So, but yeah, thanks so much, Coach Jamal, for setting this up. And Tanja and Nick, it was really nice to meet you both. Best of luck with your junior virtual fall.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
Yeah, stay well.